Pro Football Focus wide receiver rankings for free agents projected contracts. Let's take a look at a couple of these. So Allen Robinson, they project 3 years, $16 million average. And again, there's one name. We're going to go through a couple of these. DJ Chark, they project at 3 years, $13.33 million per year average contract. Michael Gallup, 4 years, $13.75 million average. And then Christian Kirk, 3 years, $11.67 million average is what they are projecting for each of these free agents. Those are, they're not the high-end ones like the Devontae Adams. Those were guys that we kind of targeted as some of the top-tier guys that the Browns might be interested in. When you look at any of those guys, do you think any of those are realistic targets for the Browns, or is that just not something you think that they're gonna spend, 13, 16, even 12 million a year for a free agent wide receiver?
Well, ideally, they don't want to have to do that. So I'm not exactly sure how they will approach it. Obviously, there are some good receivers coming out in this draft, including Ohio State's Garrett Wilson. So these are things that they're going to look at. I'm actually going to be going to the Senior Bowl in the first week in February, and I am looking forward to watching some of these players and seeing what some of them look like. So that is the cheaper route. Obviously, is to draft a receiver high, but some of that strategy will come down to whether or not you have to use your first round pick to get a quarterback. And I don't mean draft one necessarily. I mean to trade for one. So there are so many different ways that you can go about this, and we don't know how it's going to turn out yet. But they need to add a really good, dangerous number one, and then they have to decide if Jarvis Landry can be their number two. But I think that might involve restructuring his contract a little, kicking in some more guaranteed money, possibly. I mean, maybe not. 16.55 isn't the end of the world for a receiver, but maybe a little bit more than they would want to pay next year. So, then you can have Donovan as your third, and you hope that Anthony Schwartz comes along, and maybe you find someone somewhere else. But ideally, I don't think they really would want to necessarily spend, $15-16 million on a free agent receiver. But I don't want to say they're desperate this year, but with the loss of Odell Beckham Jr., they're in a little bit of a bind at wideout.